than, say, a Kings Row when there is a big skill difference between the two teams. Now, I am curious to see what we see from C9 as it comes out here, where one of the points I was making earlier is that I do think that Bishop is a very smart coach, and if C9 has been having issues earlier in the day, they've been getting active feedback on what to adjust and what to go for moving into this match here. I mean, I do think C9 is a team that gains strength over the course of a tournament.
I would tend to agree, but maybe we'll be able to find out what their issues have been, as both of us have been a little bit confused. There is a figure that has confounded you since the beginning of Overwatch, the Golden Rhino, which I think is some sort of symbol of peace and liberation, and you mocked it relentlessly before you found out what it was.
Yeah, I mocked it relentlessly, and then it was Zoe who told me, actually, there's a big backstory to that in regards to it being a very notable symbol, and I felt bad, and I haven't really commented on the Golden Rhino since, but you have now just brought my shame up to everyone, so that's why I don't talk about the Golden Rhino anymore, guys. I was just ignorant.
That's what friends are for. I mean, when ZP and I say something stupid, just believe us that it's not out of maliciousness or anything. We're just idiots. We just don't know stuff. This map always makes me want to have like a Cinnabon because you start out in the airport lobby.
That is the most random segue. It's like, you know what, I could go here, a Cinnabon.
Yeah, because you start out in the airport lobby, and like I don't eat junk food like as often in my regular life, but the airport is a place where rules, the physics, nothing really exists. You can do whatever you want in an airport.
Well, what does exist here is that Surefour is bringing out the Pharah, and I'm happy to see this. There's a point where Surefour's Pharah was just a joy to watch, and maybe that's why we're seeing the swap up here, where God's Pharah not quite the same level as Surefour's, and maybe that's why they've made the hit scan projectile swap. But C9 right now taking a little bit slow, Hex, not super deep diving, giving Surefour room to work with.
Yeah, Fisher gets in a little bit of trouble early, but does get healed up by his team. Still just throwing those rockets over top. Trying to get something going. Bloodless so far, looking for the opening. They have taken away the high ground. There's a chunky rocket. Takes out a Lucio, and now the Winston gone as well. That's 2 kills. They need the 3 or 4, though. I mean, you really want to win a dominating fight if you want to take first.
And that's about as dominant as it gets. It wasn't a flashy dominance where a team just rolls in and just makes the other team look terrible in the span of 2 seconds. It was just slow and methodical, where they knew Surefour would eventually hit rockets if given the opportunity. And right now, Adam doing his best Wins impression.
Tweeting from the cart.
I don't know. Maybe he has tweeted.
Quick, someone check Adam's Twitter account. He's tweeting from Numbani, live tweeting the Doomfist spectacle.
But we do see the dive going even deeper. Hollywood Hammers thinking they could have a chance to breathe. Not happening. Kaiser and Gods just suffocating them here in this room. And this aggression, while very good, might get thrown back in their face at least a little bit.
Only 2 kills for the side of Hollywood Hammers so far, though, so it has been the Cloud9 show. This is the Cloud9 we assumed had been playing in their other matches, and they look dominant right now. There's not really another way to say it. The losses that they did incur were rezzed out immediately because I think Rolf just felt like using something at a time. He's been rather untouched.
Well, here's the thing, too, is that this is where a team can build even more momentum on the body. Hammers does have the tools needed to win a second-point fight, but C9, especially if Surefour just gets that backline with a quick barrage, they can stop this nonetheless, especially with their positioning. And there's the barrage. It finds Christopher immediately, and despite Hammers having ultimates to work with here, this is already on a bad beat.
It was a really nice self-destruct, too, to bisect the team, sending it right up the middle. Then the 2 who were out there, just out no man's land. It took a big chunk of Diva's health down, too, as she was on the outskirts of that explosion. And looking pretty easy right now for Cloud9. I think their best hope, maybe get a Nano Blade, something. This is also the points in Numbani where teams hold, but that's why you see Cloud9 being so aggressive here.
This is the part where you look at a team and go, wow, they've gotten rolled over. They have 5.5 minutes left. This is clearly going to be C9's map. No, we've seen teams get held for 5 minutes here, so don't count out Hammers yet. Fisher, the anti-air Dragon Blade, cuts Surefour right out of the sky and goes in for more. It's going to be 2 kills here from Fisher, and again, don't be surprised if they bring this back. The Resurrection is going to make this more of a fight still as C9 keeps the pressure on. But Hammers right now, again, this is a easy area to defend. It's hard for C9 to get around the bend, but they are picking away at this bit by bit.
A little bit. They should get progress up and around the hill. It's just, this is generally where fights are going to occur if there are more fights. Even when the cart gets pushed pretty far back, you don't usually see backhebs. This is the area that defense can hold the best. So Kaiser takes down Shaz early on. That's going to hurt them. There's stall-out tactics for Hammers, though, too. They've got a Primal Rage.
Well, the problem, I think, for them here is that Rolf will be a problem, especially against another Resurrection. But that's actually a bigger problem when your Pharah counter gets a rocket right to the gut. Surefour out for blood in the back line. The sky is his. Plenty of damage coming in, and he's opening the way from C9 here. The tanks making well use of the distraction being provided, and Hammers, if they were going to use this position to their advantage, I don't know if it's happening.
1 HP. His buddy comes in and keeps him alive. They chase him too far. He's got the weather report for him. The weather report is Cloud9 completing Numbani, and for Numbani, a blistering time.
I mean, really, Surefour made his name for this moment because that was a sure 4 minutes left on the clock on the body, which is boo this man. No, you don't see times on the body that fast because usually teams get gummed up on last. Hammers, even with the positioning on last that you can grab.
1 HP, 4 HP. Oh god, that's so frustrating too. I don't think it mattered too much. It seemed like these kills were non-consequential as the cart was being pushed. The map was completed while we were on that cam, so just a little bit of style points for Surefour. And that's vintage Surefour. His Pharah has been overlooked and underrated.
I love that Winston dance. Only in that format. I don't like it when players do it anymore, but I like it on our next matchup ticker, of course. FaZe versus Selfless coming up next, where if you're curious how Selfless is doing with a perhaps unplanned roster change, stay tuned.
Not going there. I say a lot of things, and a lot of things I'm like, oh, why'd you say that? So yeah, we have a phrase between us, you can't get in trouble for things you don't say. I'm going to exercise that. I should get that tattooed right below don't leave Grim on the high ground. They're all over my lower back.
Yeah, you know, take a look here. Adam's having fun with the minigame here. Just, you know, he could be going to the point, but why go when you have 20 seconds of sweet wall riding action?
Sweet, sweet wall riding action. He's just showing off his moves for the World Cup national team, the USA Overwatch World Cup national team. It's like a 4-word long name officially.
It is a long word, but they have good jerseys this year.
Yeah, well, USA, USA, USA. I'm not biased at all. Just a man who loves his country. Defensively, they're in for it here, or actually I should say offensively up against the wall. Not only is that a blistering time, but we talked about how brutal just taking first can be at this section, and I think a lot of this has to rely on Snizzlenose shutting down Surefour. That has to happen for anything else to happen.
Well, Surefour is a case where you got to expect C9 to spend a lot of their effort defending him. Zephyr will be going to the back, keeping Surefour in the fight, and if you maximize his uptime, it's going to make things really difficult. As C9 right now, they're bending back, they're not breaking, and they're not even taking that much damage, Hex, if you take a look at this dive in from Hammers.
Yeah.
They are giving up a little bit of room. However, that can be bad. Nesh getting his pound of flesh and gods, taking him out, and it's good positioning on the point here by Hammers. They just go straight for the prize, and now C9 gonna have to work from behind a bit, even though they still have 5 up.
Yeah, I can't imagine they're just giving this up and retreating. They're just going to wait for the last second so that it gives Gods time to come in. C9 not living up to their name in that instance at the very least.
That was really close to a clippable moment, Hex. So C9 getting back onto the point just in time. They might be able to fight this one back yet. Adam drops the beat, and that's going to make them all the more tanky as they roll back in the Hammers. Light Self-Destruct comes in and does get one. And
Okay.
important one at that.
Yeah, Surefour unable to dodge that one. He will be able to sprint back in. But the reason they were hanging out there so late is to wait for Gods to come in, who was a big factor in that fight. It's already at 2 ticks. They know that. They're giving that up. But yeah, you're right. A little too close for comfort, especially if I'm Cloud9 in that situation. But all that's and done, held for so far. 2.5 left.
So, yeah, they played on the razor's edge there of the line between memes and dreams, but it ended up working out for them. So, Hammers out, though, they have plenty of ultimates for the next fight, and they're going to open up immediately. Fisher, blade to the back, both supports taking a dirt nap. This is already from bad to worse here from C9. They have no healing here whatsoever, and yet, Gods and Kaiser, who needs healing. Kaiser has a problem range of delay, so it's not over yet.
Fisher's super low, too. Is going to get a little bit of healing from his Lucio as he dashes through Gods to do so. But as you see, I mean, even Tracer takes forever to get back to this point. That's why Numbani is so bad. I don't know why they can't just jumpstart that bus and public transport down there.
I mean, because it's overpowered. We already saw what a car did earlier today, Hex. God forbid you get a bus. What type of madman are you?
Yeah, inside information, Doomfist is actually a bus.
Oh. That's why he's banned already, before he's even released.
Probably. All right, well, 140 left. You know what? With Numbani, this might be the last push, unfortunately, for them. So we're going to have to use the ults that you got. 90 seconds remain. Otherwise, Numbani's going to be a quick map.
Hammers right now struggling for a bit of life. They were incredibly close earlier, but now against the wall, and they're flooding in. But again, you look at C9. C9 is not afraid to just disengage and pull back. They've only lost Adam here so far. Surefour has attack visor in reserve.
Yeah.
And oh, goodbye.
Yeah.
That is quite a self-destruct.
don't necessarily like that Shortford was even in the back trying to deal with that. I think you just let him go behind, rush up with your team, but I think Self-Destruct would have dealt with him anyway, and despite a valiant first hold on first, Hollywood Hammers will grab first point and are still in the map.
You know, actually, when it comes to vehicle power, you take a look at that payload. It used to have the Doomfist in it. It's actually stronger without the Doomfist in it now. It just makes it lighter, makes it more likely to run into.
I've been playing a lot of mystery heroes because I don't have like all my good hardware here. That payload is like the most powerful thing ever because usually there's 2 bastions and a torb on top of it. There's a lot of spaces.
What a tortured life you live.
you know, it's an excuse to play Hanzo, I guess. In the, you know,
get away! Why do I sit next to you? Gil, save me! I want to be closer to the left guy. Anyways, we are into this next fight here. Hollywood Hammers trying to keep the momentum going forward. God, putting on that pulse bomb, going to stick that right on D.Va. Does not quite get what he's looking for. Snizzle knows will get healed up. And Hollywood Hammers at least is healthy, even as they're not pushing up as much. And they're going to dive in here. Hexer seizing the opportunity off the blade, off the barrier, and they hit Paydirt. And it's Fisher connecting once more, and his blades have really been the savior of Hollywood Hammers here thus far.
He's been great. I think we found the reason why Nesh isn't playing Genji, and as good as Genji is we think Nesh is, Fisher might be better. His blades have gotten supreme value. He was the only saving grace on that defense when they nanoed his blades to take it down. So, yeah, Fisher has been a standout player. They're going to need standout play from their DPS, in my opinion, to be able to hang with Cloud9.
The other thing about Fisher, too, is that Hammers has not been shy in supporting him. Shaz has been keeping a lot of his orb power directly on the Fisher, orbing targets he's going in on, and it's been enabling him to get those kills even without Blade. But his Blades have been what have been sublime here so far. C9, though, they don't want to give up second for free. They are going to be jumping right back out. They break it. Oh, no! They don't get on the payload in time, Hex, and I'm not even going to say anything because I'm just too classy for that.
Yeah, when I think classy. I spent way too much time for you to be able to pull that over my eyes. Yeah, so the payload does get capped despite a sound barrier coming in over the top. What was nice, though, is Hollywood Hammers in great position. They're up top there. They spotted them coming in. A lot of cleave damage. Christopher got out with his life. It was at a sliver. That's why you saw the Transcend come down from below. They wanted to make sure he was alive in case the fight did happen. Did mean a little bit more. But they're sitting a pretty good time. I mean, Cloud9 just blew through this map, but this is a fast new Bonnie time, too. Is anyone going to play defense today?
I mean, we're going to find out. C9 didn't really use ult in the last fight because there was no point, but now they are going to do it. But a Snizzle Nose exploding into the back. People say this man clutches on Roadhog, but his D.Va bombs so far have been explosive in more ways than one. C9, though, still doing an alright job of gumming this up a little bit, trying to buy time for the respawns, but it's been messy as Hammers have been taking them to school right now.
Yeah, neither team has any supports on the field as they both went down very early in that fight, so the Primal Rage did get popped from Christopher just to stay alive and try to get some pressure on the point. A nice dart puts him down, and you can run, but you can't hide.
Puts him down, Hex. I take extreme objection to your phrasing, given Winston was slept there, but you know what?
Come on.
Either way, Peter will be calling it. Fisher, though, into the backline once more. The blade is out, and this man's blades here thus far have been excellent when Hammers need to play. Fisher has been able to bring it here on their Hollywood, or the Bonnie attack, and it's been good so far.
Yeah, another self-destruct comes in. Short4 has just been absolutely harassed back here. He's been running backwards most of this game, whether it's away from Dragon Blades, from Divas, from Monkey. They know where the Cloud9's bread is buttered, and they're taking them out of these fights.
I mean, I don't think Cloud9 is having bread, especially not buttered bread right now. They are just eating dirt as Hollywood Hammers continues to apply the pressure.
Couple kills, though.
Yeah, they're trading out well here, enough to probably force a reset, but this has been a tough few minutes from C9. The one upside, though, is that even though it's been tough, they've been draining time off even losing battles, and we still only have a minute left.
What's really tough, though, is that stagger. I mean, those last 3 kills came after the fight was good and over, which means this next push, very likely the last one, and see what they have to work with here. It seemed like a whole lot in the arsenal. But Cloud9 has, I think, probably going to see a Nano Visor, or you can just Nano Kaiser and let him disrupt while Short4 is going to town.
Normally I'd say there's an advantage to C9 here, but Fisher's Dragon Blades have been above par, beyond reproach, so I don't know. This could go either way. Fisher, I want to see your magic here. You have the orb, you have the blade, you have the power. Treat C9 like they're Decepticons and you're Optimus Prime.
There was the boost onto the Winston in the background. I just watched Transformers the other night. I watch a lot of TV, unfortunately. A couple kills come in late here. The blade is out looking for it, but not the pit. Wow, finds a Winston in his face, makes him think twice about it. Not over there. Not the clean engagement the offense needs. 20 seconds left, but they have to stay in this.
Well, it might have been a bit of a caster curse there as Fisher does not get quite as much, but that was mostly because of Kaiser just playing bouncer, keeping Fisher away from the fight. And now Hammers trying to push back in without their big gun, and Zephyr gets in on the self-destruct action. That could be all C9 needs to hold this here. Valiant effort from Hammers, but time has run out. Overtime is in progress, and it is quickly ticking away.
Yeah, and Fisher doesn't even have a blade. I mean, there's always a chance that Fisher's got a blade, but a good hold there at the end. Do you think this is just a symptom of Numbani, the complete lack of defense you see between first capture and then very last bend?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the Bonnie, in terms of maps, we've said it plenty of times, it is one of the maps that has incredible momentum opportunities across all hybrid maps in the game, period. It's one time where after you get first, you can ride that momentum all the way deep into last. So you know, guys, Hex identifies as a pumpkin, so he suffers pain every time he sees that intro.
And now I get like this weird joy when I see it, like an awkward amount.
No, it's because you know it. I don't like it. So
that's where the joy is coming from. Definitely, yeah.
It's actually it's a darker secret than that left guy enjoys pumpkin spice lattes.
Oh, I'm not a PSL man. No. I snub my nose at the PSL type.
The fact you have a term for it means that that's a lie.
I have a lot of friends, okay, that work at Starbucks. Okay, it doesn't matter. No, but here we have it. Cloud9 coming out on top. And one of the key factors there was Surefour on Pharah. Of course, on now going back to the attack. And this just in, Surefour can play a mean Pharah.
You can play everything. I mean, we're not exaggerating. It was one of the deepest pools. And sometimes that can be a knock on people of like, oh, they can play a lot of things, but are they the best at anything? Yeah. You can start putting Surefour in the conversation of top 5 in a lot of the things he plays.
Surefour is just great. I mean, there's a reason why he's been seen as one of the best players in the game going all the way back to the beginning. There's a reason why no one doubted that he would be on Team Canada for the Overwatch World Cup. So, I mean, he's a very solid player, and the fact that we're seeing him flex back and forth here and now go to a role where actually it makes more sense to go between Genji and Pharah, and now we're going to put Gods on the Tracer. Right. Thematically, it makes a lot of sense that C9 would have made that adjustment.
Yeah, and on the other side of things, though, Hammers, they came out strong with a lot of plays. Honestly, at the end there, they were in a one-fight territory. They just needed to win one fight, and they lost their diva, and then they blew, I think, 2 ults. They blew the Dragon Blade and the Sound Barrier on third at half strength. I just don't know. I don't know about that.
I like the play out of. I want to give Cloud9 the credit there too, because I was thinking of maybe the idea of a nano visor, but that's so easily negated by just a diva who'd been in it Surefour's face all day. So they nano Kaiser instead. So what he does is he goes back into the back line, pressures out the Zenyatta, and pushes Zenyatta into the room. I don't even think he got the kill, but Zenyatta's out of the mix. He's out of the fight. He can't discord those.
God's cleaned it up. The kill.
Yeah.
Kaiser in general was playing goalie towards the end there, where not only do you have that play, but also a part where Fisher is being a huge pain in the backside, quite literally with a super long Dragon Blade. What does Kaiser do? No, I'm just going to bump you away. Kaiser was so angry at his teammates dying that he just took it out on Genji.
Yeah, ragdolls aside, that's about as high as I've seen a Genji go on that one. He even gave us a few extra meters there by running up the wall. Nesh and Fisher, though, you talk about Fisher on Genji. Nesh also showing his prowess on Tracer, and the way that we saw these teams, both of them play here on Numbani, makes me question how they are at the bottom of the standings right now. Of course, still very early. It's still honestly a fairly close group. Right. Renegades coming out very strong, but it still could be anybody's game coming in next week. By the way, we have Lijiang Tower as our control, which will be the next map.
I will say, Gil, I think you answered your own question there, where Renegades came out really strong, and that's why even though Hammers and C9 have both have their parts where they've looked good here today, Renegades was looking better, and I mean, it's no real surprise, right? Tracer is very important right now, and one of the best Tracers in North America is Jesus. He is incredible, so he was having a good day with Renegades, and it's probably part of the reason why the standings are what they are right now.
Yeah, I subscribe to the Church of Jesus, definitely. That's actually the name of his Discord. It's called The Church. So clever.
You're in his Discord. I can confirm.
I also troll his stream on occasion, too, so if you want to see me out in the wild, just hang out there when Jesus is streaming. He knows what I'm talking about. Lijiang Tower here. As you mentioned, the Tracer play is so important. Let's talk about the Tracers in this game. Do you think... I do believe that you think Short 4 is the better Tracer than Gods overall. I mean, do you think they're at equal power?
I mean, I don't know. I can be persuaded either way. I've seen both of them have very good Tracer games. Let's put it this way. I don't think that C9 putting Short 4 and 76 and Gods on the Tracer here is actually losing a whole lot in Tracer power. And Adam, I would love it if you just rode that horse right into the map. Please. I know it's not happening, but that's quite the dance.
That's actually how you dance. You just don't know it.
I mean, I actually have extra legs, Hex. People don't know. I'm a horse. I don't know.
Coming at you.
Nay to that, good sir.
Oh, no.
I tried. Courtyard battle underway. D.Va comes in, gets the shield up. So the courtyard battles have been much less exciting without Reinhardt on this map. Not necessarily shield battles. All the ammo goes into the defense matrix, and then teams kind of dance around. We'll see which team wants to try to rotate first in. That is the first kind of aggression out of Cloud9. The dive works perfectly.
Kaiser wanted Zenyatta, and he got him. Shaz, last thing he saw was a monkey in his face with electricity coursing through his veins, and that was just over before it really began. When you get a Winston dive that quickly, that is well supported, you can just take the fight immediately, and Kaiser took matters into his own hands.
I'm so glad for the UI improvements, because the one theme that ran through all of those kills is that Rolf was in on it. He was in discording and assisting everyone in there. So important. Trying to take out the important piece on the other side, too. As Nesh is pressuring the point, they will have to rotate over there eventually. That's a huge kill from Nesh to take out Kaiser.
Well, what Hammers did is that they knew the dive was coming in, they backed up a bit and punished Kaiser, so there was no surprise there. They adapted to C9's dive, and now we'll see how it goes here on the point where C9 already had a significant advantage. It's 5v5, and it's Gods dashing around and making this his own personal playground, keeping C9 in this fight.
A literal god over there as he comes in, gets the kills, turns it around. Another one for him as he takes out his counterpart in Tracer. Again, see the little Zenyatta up next to them. I mean, everyone's getting discorded. It's so good. Rolf has been one of my favorite supports for a long time. I thought he was a great pick when Cloud9 picked him up, I think, just a week before BlizzCon last year.
Rolf was very good, and yeah, I mean, at BlizzCon, it is interesting. He got picked up around that time period, but he's been strong for C9 ever since then. He made the old Method team really good, and now he's giving that magic to C9. But next fight here is underway. Hammers trying to break out of this deadlock. The sound barrier is in, and they pick up nothing after the sound barrier. C9 still at full HP, and you can't have that happen. You can't invest the sound barrier and get nothing. That is how you lose rounds you're in control.
Zephyr able to take out the opposing tank. There is a later sound barrier, and by pure definition, usually a better one over the top. Zephyr takes out two. That fight is over. And thinking of last year BlizzCon, do you remember when a large portion of C9 stacked us and spawn camped us?
No, I had actually forgotten. I went through therapy to forget that, and no, we lost. I couldn't really get a good read on Sombra, and my pride was crushed, just like the self-destruct crushed on the favor C9.
Yeah, that's when I was like, Sombra's totally OP, right? And it was just that C9 had whopped us with her 99% desperation time now for Hollywood Hammers to come back in. They do get a nice pulse bomb, take Short 4 out of the mix, but yet another transcend from Rolf, who, as I mentioned, has been in on all of these kills. It's a good way to boost your ultimate power there. They are going to have to come in. It's overtime, nothing left to lose. Beautiful pulse bomb from Gods, and he has taken over this game.
It's just God's world. We're simply living in it here. It's where he is just...
Preach, brother, preach.
He made this round his own, and C9, the rest of it, they just had to pull back, let Hammers get poked down as they went in, and Hammers wasn't really able to get much off their initiations. Even when aided by a sound barrier, they still got wrecked.
Yeah, it's they need to find a better answer for Gods. It's not something that you necessarily want to have to run into a counter to try to deal with, but I don't know, Snizzle plays a good Roadhog, can be a decent counter to a Tracer, but right now Gods has gone unchecked, and he is molding the world to his liking.
It's been a good game for Gods, there's no doubt about it, and you know what, again, we talked about the entire idea of like, well, Sheer Force on the Tracer, is that a big deal? Gods clearly making the case that, no, not a big deal. He's played Hitscan for a really long time, going all the way back to his days on the old Luminosity, and it's been a good series here so far for C9.
God's also a really good tank, too. I mean, the guy can play absolutely everything. It's unfair. I am starting to believe that he is absolutely divine somehow. Well, jump comes in early on from the side of Hollywood Hammers, and that's great for them. The jump comes in, it forces Rolf back, and Nesh is there for the cleanup.
Rolf was a little bit bloodthirsty there, got punished immediately, but it's 5 versus 5, and C9 still has the edge, and that Kaiser is very much alive, and being up Winston is a good thing in this fight. It lets you make more room. However, C9, they back up, now they go back in. They really play with the point timings here, Hex, where they're not afraid to let the other opponent get some time on the point, so long as they come in before it gets capped.
It just makes you come into the fight better at full force. Fisher scares Kaiser into jumping off the edge over there as Kaiser went down. He was also very low, didn't really matter all that much that he was going to bail out of that fight. Hollywood Hammers are showing up here on control. They've taken first control of the point, they've hunted down gods, and now we're going to camp right outside this door, it seems. Well, at least the Tracer is, because this is what Tracer does.
Tracer is a creeper. We've established that over the course of the day. She will creep behind a corner and just give explosives to you when you least expect it while, leaving off with a hiya.
Yeah, you've really changed the way I looked at her, and I will never forgive you for it. Still keeping the story, just getting all the spam they can in there, and it's kind of confounding Cloud9. They don't know when and where they want to go, and now seems to be the time. Nope, never mind. Gonna dance a little bit back. The tanks have gotten in, and now usually you just have to follow tanks. And it's smart by Hollywood Hammers to not stick around too long. They got what they wanted done up there.
One thing that really strikes me out with C9 here, aside from that great flick, I'm sure for that removes Nesh from the equation, is that C9 is very methodical on their pushes. They're not trying to go for the wanton aggression that we saw from, say, Immortals earlier in the day. C9 is more than willing to take these fights a little bit slower, but make sure they're done well. And if you want to talk about things well done, Hammers is absolutely well done. You could barely even stick a fork with them. That's how done they are. Because this is going to be a cap here for C9.
Now you're making me think about poorly cooked meat, and for that, I will never forgive you. My inner Ron Swanson is crying right now.
Yeah, you're telling me you don't eat steak well done with ketchup?
I'm not very presidential. Sizzle Nose comes in over the top. Self-destruct goes there. Does not find much. The sound barrier will come down. Keep everyone alive. They don't necessarily get a whole lot of kills after the sound barrier, so questionable, I suppose. Shaz goes down again from a leap from Kaiser. And
well, this is where, again, Kaiser has been isolating Shaz whenever possible, and he gets away with that one. Not only gets a kill, gets away with his life. And Surefour right now, after taking out Fisher, has plenty of room to work with in the back. And anytime you give Surefour room as a 76, it's a bad look where he's just laying in the damage from the back line. And he's the main threat here as the rest of C9 just rolls around and finishes it out.
Why did Kaiser leap off the edge?
I don't know.
Like, maybe he wanted a full health pool, didn't want Rolf to get any of the credit for healing him up. I don't understand what that was.
Maybe Kaiser identifies as like a cat and someone threw a ball of yarn off the edge.
Yeah, perhaps. All right, Kaiser. I mean, it's twice now he's gone, and he doesn't really have to, but it's style points. He'll be back in the fight, of course. Winston pretty mobile for a mammal his size. The Pulse Bomb comes in, does not end up taking down Rolf, who has been a priority target. For Rolf doing so much work, has another Transcend up. The first Transcend comes out for Hammers.
Transcend's up for Hammers, and they don't really have a lot of time to lose here. C9 at 70%, if they win this fight, it is going to be just a last-ditch effort. And Fisher, the blade is out, looking for victims. Gets a big one in Surefour, but that's going to be about it. And C9, they bent back again, Hex, but not breaking. You take a look at the point, Hammers has got half, but C9 is just playing the outskirts very well. They're making Hammers come to them, and it buys them more time.
And they force out this sound barrier, too. Hammers knows that they have to take this point now. They have to win this fight and stay alive for the rest of the reinforcements to come back. Not gonna be the case, though, as Surefour's got them in his sights. Tomsy goes down. God's looking for the cleanup, finds his counterpart, and gonna need a miracle from Fisher here. Not gonna happen as Rolf puts him away as well. Cloud9 up 2-0 on Lijiang Tower.
I will say that I really like how C9 engages and disengages. Sure, it can lead to some trouble like it did on second point Nambani, but I think they're getting into sort of this new era of thinking about Overwatch where, look, you have time to give on points. You can play positioning to your advantage.
Yeah.
When you control a point, it is in your advantage to delay things out a little bit, make the opponent come to you a little bit more in cases, if you're not trying to like catch them off guard with a surprise engage. So I think C9, even if they've had a rougher day today, I like some of the concepts they are applying in their gameplay right now.
It seems like it's the long con, right? We need to improve our game. We need to do these small things. Well, it's kind of antithetical to how some North American teams play of like, let's just fight. Let's fight all the time. C9 just like, it's quality, not quantity, guys. We're going to take a good fight instead.
There are some team comms I've been on where the team really does not want to lose any fight, period. It's just like, let's go kill everyone. Doesn't always work. You can be a little bit smarter in Overwatch. And speaking of smart, we have Surefour here on the Pharah trying to make the skies his and doesn't actually have a lot of things to pressure him here. The biggest threat will probably be Shaz, but there's no direct anti-air threat, so this is Surefour's game right now to try and make the most of this Pharah play.
Yeah, still playing very far back as the point just opened up now. I can't imagine that they're just going to give it up without contesting. A huge dive-in comes from Kaiser. Unable to finish the kills. Nesh came back, helped out his supports. They did lose they did lose Shaz, rather. And it's still pretty even here. No great answer to that Pharah. No team even getting on the point just yet. Now some contesting coming in from Hollywood.
What C9 did there, they weren't trying to get on the point early on. They went to the flank to try and get the uneven number matchup. They were willing to give up a little bit on the point. Unfortunately for them, they end up losing that point despite making that tactical decision, and Hammers was able to get the first cap and put that fight in their favor. That said, C9 now being a little bit more aggressive, coming in, but it can be difficult to evict a team from this point sometimes, Alex.
Yeah, which is kind of why I think it was a little bit of a mistake. They wanted to fight and fight on the points, and they were just half a second too late to get there. They just not quite there on time, and Fisher is going to get some. Fisher actually takes out Surefour, but yeah, that's a good ability. It brings people who died back to life.
I mean, that might be why they call it Resurrection, Hex, but it is a quality resurrection from Adam, where, in all seriousness, that was a case where he res two of the highest priority targets right when it was needed, and despite Fisher's blade, which was very good, I mean, he stared down Winston, didn't blink, it doesn't matter because he gets brought right back up to life, and C9 just finishes off with style.
Resurrection. It's not on my word of the day calendar. I don't know it. Yeah, it's a really nice play there from Adam. If you think about Rez, too, at 45% already. He might have it in the next fight.
I mean, Hex, it wouldn't be on your word of the day calendar because you see it as a profane swear word. So, I mean, that's not something you say normally. But in any case, Hammers moving in. They drop the self-destruct, trying to make a little bit of room. Be countered by a self-destruct in turn by Zephyr. Finds his man. And now, this is already making things a little bit rough for Hammers as they're stuck trying to retake. They have to do it down to man, and they're investing ults into this fight nonetheless. They use the Transcendence, but they get absolutely nada as C9, they weather the storm, and they push Hammers out once more.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say they're investing all, because that would also have been accurate. They threw everything they had at that fight, did not get anything out of it. Nesh does still have the pulse bomb, but that's just really a long cooldown basic ability, in my opinion. And so hard to deal with. They haven't really even addressed Surefour. They feel they're trying to run the strategy of like, if we just dominate the ground, it won't matter. It's mattered. It's mattered a lot.
It has mattered a lot, and it's also a real pain to come in here when Pharah's in the air, where Surefour has so many options for boops and otherwise, but Fisher, another blade built up into the back, already striking blood here early on.
Well,
there's the res. That was the flip side there, is that you can do all that. You can fall off the edge if you want to. You can leave your friends behind. But it doesn't really matter when Adam has resurrected and really undone a lot of the damage that you did.
But your friends don't res, and if they don't res, they're back in spawn. I don't know. Look, I'm not of the genius that men without hats are. All right, safety dance is the ballad of our time, and I will accept no different answer. All right, Salvera does come in. Overtime ticking away here. Desperation time. Zephyr has been taken out. A later Soundbarrier comes in, but you know what's been crazy is even when they're hitting these Soundbarriers, they're hitting ultimates, the kills seem to go in the other direction. Not exactly the case this time, though. Hollywood Hammers getting the majority of the kills. Gods is going to be dancing around, though, and waiting for his friends. I don't think he wants to let it flip back over. He's waiting for the reinforcements to come. He's been so good at dipping his toe back in. Will have to eventually give it up.
And that's big. Surefour was able to get Fisher here. That's going to give C9 a much better re-engage, where yes, they lost the point, but now they can come in, make this a 6v5, and the big cannon of Hammers and Fisher is out of this fight. This is C9's opportunity to end this strong without a whole lot of drama. They can just run in. They don't have to wait till 99%. They can end this here if they do it well, but that's a little bit rough. You see Zephyr and Gods a little bit deep, but Adam is there to erase mistakes.
Yeah, Adam's, I think people forget how good Adam is on every support. It's insanity. During the Mercy meta, Adam was just unkillable. You couldn't kill him. Even when they had to switch to Zen, somehow he was immortal in that side too. Gods is going to prove that not all Zenyatta's are immortal. Takes down Shaz to start this fight, and you have to think that is the green light for Cloud9 to start coming in here.
I mean, the problem for C9 is that they did let a golden opportunity bypass them there where they went a little bit deep. They got punished. Resurrection wasn't quite enough to bring it back, and now they're down to a final fight to bring this back. So despite a rough beginning here and kind of tough dealing with the Pharah, Hammers yet might take this round. C9 has a lot to answer for in this fight, but it's a beautiful dive. Kaiser going right in, leading to the destruction of both supports, and this is decisive, Hex.
Hammer and Anvil. I was wondering what Gods was doing, just kind of creeping around the backside there, stepping and toe on the point. What that did is, as soon as Gods jumped in, or not Gods, sorry, Kaiser jumps in, they have to retreat from him. They're retreating right into Gods. It's brutal. Great setup. It was a beautiful set play.
I mean, and God's response is probably Haya. Oh, speaking of gods, we get another.
Hey, you love that intro.
Yes.
And it's not the Chinese New Year intro.
I swear I didn't pay gods off for that, but that is the best Tracer intro. I am unabashed in my support of it. But C9 in the end makes this a rather convincing 3-0 on Lijiang, and whatever troubles they may have had earlier in the day, I do think they've learned from them here, and unfortunately for Hollywood Hammers, they have to be the first ones to sort of bear the brunt of C9's lessons.
Yeah, and they're looking so polished, Cloud9, that is. They are positioning really well, and they're using their positioning very reactively, and this is something that they actually do very well in general. Maybe they even move around a little bit too much when it comes to payloads, but they react to ults, disengaging when they need to, and then they re-engage when they need to find the most potency from all of their players. And on the other side of things, Hammers, well, the individual players are looking strong. They're getting some good engages, some good dives. Well, first of all, they don't have an answer to Pharah, but they're still doing things like using ults when they're down a man, and they're just not looking quite as polished.
No, and I mean, there was definitely, to your point on Lijiang, there's definitely a time where they lose a player early on the engage, and that's a case where, okay, do we still want to invest ultimates? And Hammer's just like, go, yes, and they get thrown right back. It's a case where you need to avoid those situations. Sometimes if you really feel like you have a good opportunity, it can work out, but more often than not, it's usually just not realizing where your team is and making one bad play even worse by the decisions you make right after.
I would give Cloud9 some credit for that, though, too, because there are almost few teams where you don't, I guess, notice as often their retreats. And retreating in Overwatch is an option. You can actually go away from a fight. And so what they're doing is they're like, okay, sound barrier, engaged, let's go. And C9's like, nah. We'll fight later. You guys are like, you guys have shields right now. That's not fair. And so they just retreat.
There's a very good point to be taken from that, too. And it's the idea that oftentimes in Overwatch, when teams retreat, it's a sign of weakness, right? It's where, oh, they're wounded. Go in deeper. It's like the entire thing where an animal will chase after you if you're running.
Right.
C9, though, counts on that because there's times where they're backing out. Look, I've been chased by a lot of dogs in my life. That was from experience.
No, I was laughing because I was picturing you running.
I've been bitten by a lot of dogs in my life, Hex, because I can't run away. But you have this case where C9, they back off, and they're still very healthy. They're very much going, okay, we're okay with this.
Yeah.
They counter-engage, and they give up a little bit of progress on the point, but oftentimes they don't give it up, and then it turns into a very good fight for them.
Yeah, and that's just managing your time and managing your ultimates and knowing what you need to actually win the game. And it's, a lot of teams, and it's quite natural, and the first thing you have to figure out as a team is how do we win this fight right in front of us? But Cloud9 has moved beyond just this next fight mentality, and they moved a lot more towards how do we win this actual map? What do we need to use now to win this fight, but what can we save actually to win the entire map, and how can we do that? And it's why Cloud9 was expected to be probably atop this group on a lot of people's charts. Well, we are going to be moving on to the next map. It's going to be Temple of Anubis. Cloud9 has secured at the very least a draw with the first two, and I'm really excited for Temple of Anubis. I'm mostly excited for more lyrical stylings from ZP.
I mean, you know what? I think you might find your expectations not met. And I'm not sure why they were your expectations to begin with. I mean,
you know what that was in your head, though? Jason started singing it yesterday.
He did.
He's the reason why Safety Dance is in all of our heads.
Once that song gets in your head,
I love that song.
It doesn't leave your head.
Okay, so going to Assaults, this is rough for Hammers because Hollywood Hammers, I thought, had their best chances on the earlier maps, and map scores are going to matter. Hollywood Hammers hovering around like a 30% win rate on Assault. They are not good at it. They struggle on Assault. So it's going to be rough for them, but every map matters. And with Cloud9 struggling earlier in the day like they did, a 4-0 would be great for them, but Hammers still in their way. Got to find something here, even though this is not a mode that favors them.
Well, I mean, this is a case where Hammers, of course, have recently made the transition to playing in North America, but this has been a rough baptism where if they thought that things might be a little bit easier in some way, which some people think it is, not so much in this group where Hammers has been getting hammered.
Yeah, I mean, there are people that argue that Cloud9 is not really a North American team. You know, they've barely been playing in North America. A third of their roster is Korean, but I'll take them. USA, USA.
Just slap a USA jersey, and Hex is like, I don't care where you're from. You're an American now.
Oh, my patriotism is blind and dumb. So, Temple of Anubis, you imagine we'll see Sombra here? I mean, she's been very popular today.
I would be surprised if we didn't see a Sombra here, especially coming out from C9, where, I mean, we've seen Sombra be very effective just in general, and someone like Bishop does not really miss out on trends going on in general Overwatch. If we don't see a Sombra here, it's because he hasn't been happy with times where C9 has run it, so we might not see it on first, but if we didn't see it on second, I would be a little bit surprised, yes.
Yeah, the last time we saw it in Anubis was a really good one. Ended in a draw, actually. One of the more exciting draws I've seen in quite a while, with a lot of first-point defenses coming in. Hollywood Hammers, of course, will be on offense first, so not really a lot to gain by looking at what their roster is. Just messing around in spawn, very likely. But defensively, do you see anything interesting?
I don't see too much interesting here. I mean, I just want to see how Zephyr deals with Nesh, who, I gotta tell you, Hex, Nesh is probably feeling awfully smug right now.
Purple lady smug face. I mean, I see something. They're running triple tank here on defense. Yeah. I mean, Kaiser, of course, is great at both of the tanks. He's one of those, like, unicorn players, I call him, in tanks. So a lot of people are getting better at both Winston and Reinhardt. But as I mentioned earlier, Gods can play tank really, really well. Oh, beautiful pick, though, from Nesh. That kills, this kills the triple tank. And being on a triple tank, that's bye.
That's why you have Reinhardt shield, so that does not happen. Wolf just pokes his head out the wrong way, and Nesh rips his head right off with a well-placed shot. And yeah, I mean, if you're gonna run triple tank and this happens, well,
you need Ana so bad in triple tank. Her healing is so important. It's one of the reasons we saw so many tanks is when Ana got introduced to the game and people figured out how good her healing output could be. But they do not give up first point. They're gonna get back in here and begin fighting again. Have to be a little bit careful. Fights going on all over the place as Gods does fall in the end. Sizzle is oddly enough on the 76. Not a hero we see him a lot on a ton, but since they're running a Widow, oh, why not?
Well, I'm gonna say if C9 was planning a Sombra swap, it's probably gonna happen soon because this Dragon Blade will finish off the job, although that's kind of a win for C9. Yeah, so you see Wolf coming on the Sombra, but that's a big win from C9. The fact that Fisher felt the need the Dragon Blade there to bring this forward, sure, Hammers is still coming in with momentum. They have a Transcendence, but you know what would have been better here? A Dragon Blade.
You know, it'd be even better in a live Sombra. Yeah. Transcend comes in, they're still running this Widowmaker, which is great because he had ult, so he's seeing through these walls with that ultimate ability. Short for trying to bring it back. 1 or 2 kills on the defense sometimes is enough to solidify it. Snizzle now goes all in. Double stun says, you've got me in your sights, I've got you in my sights. Takes down Short for in turn. This is taking too long, though.
It is taking too long. The one thing Sizzle knows really had in his sights was the sick beats of Lucio that were protecting the enemies he wanted to shoot. So I don't think that quite worked out in his favor, and C9, they will solidify here next.
You an expert on sick beats?
I'm not really much of an expert on anything. I'm not even sure why I'm up here, let's be real. I just wandered in one day.
Saying what we're all thinking. All right, Nesh gonna stay on this Widow as he's 5%. Well, never mind. He's decided to go against it because apparently whatever I say can't be true. It's just not how the world works. Wow, triple dome to Sombra on Shuriken's gonna be enough to send her out. Actually works out well for Sombra because she can just go heal and charge her ult. Speaking of which, EMP up, self-destruct up, those can work really well together.
I mean, this is a push that is almost certainly doomed to fail here as Kaiser just says, yeah, it really is. Drops the hammer, knocks down 3, makes this Earthquake corridor not a place you want to be.
Yeah, the Hack Quake combo. I mean, you drop the EMP there, there's nothing to stop the Earth Shatter, and that was a sad corridor push right there. Look at this, come on. Wolf is already at 75% again.
Well, when a man likes dropping EMPs, Hex, it just happens.
That doesn't seem fair. I mean, it is Hex. I guess Hex. It makes sense.
Okay, then. But yeah, I mean, he's using the health pack. The rest of his team is using it, and it's building up the EMP. He's going to have it for this next fight. And perhaps not. The fight is taking place right now in that sweet spot where he doesn't have it just yet. The problem is that Hammers died so quickly that now Wolf actually gets
Oh,
saved.
so this fight's over. And now, like, it's demoralizing for Hammers because they have to know now there's going to be EMP up. I still am trying to figure out, like, what do you do to counter this when there's EMP up for every single fight?
Realistically speaking, you need to run something where you can get an early pickoff and take the 6v5 where it's a little bit more winnable. If the other team has a full 6-up and lands a good EMP, you're almost certainly not going to win that fight. The odds that you actually have a clean fight on Anubis of all places, not going to happen. That's why you see the Sombra getting played. So we like talking about the idea of maybe running a Roadhog more often.
Yeah.
I actually would not be sad if Snizzle came out here on a Roadhog because that would give them the 6v5 opportunity that could let them deal with an EMP. But Fisher, he's going to take matters into his own hands. Nanoblade into the back, but he gets EMP'd, no longer can dash, and Kaiser drops the hammer to use that EMP combo once more.
I completely agree with the Roadhog. I might even run a Reaper with it too. You want to start running things that don't necessarily rely on abilities to do damage. Reaper, I mean, Wraithwalk is the only ability that he really uses anyway, so Reaper can get in there. We've seen how good Reaper can be on this last anyway, but I think most teams would tend to go with Roadhog. And I'll tell you why Roadhog would be extra good here is Sombra's always going to bail out, you know, later, see you later. You can hook her, just hook her.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways to deal with that. I mean, also you think back to old school LG Evil, even seeing a McCree at times. I mean, we've seen it work to deal with the Reinhardt where you flashbang over the top, blow up the Reinhardt immediately.
Yeah.
It could work.
Wolf down.
Yeah, they get the early pick on Wolf. That's what they needed. Now there's no threat of the EMP, even though Wolf was about to get it, and they have an opportunity to pile on. They need to get at least 2 kills off this before Wolf comes back in, or the EMP is going to ruin their day. TacVisor comes out here from Nesh, but doesn't really get much, and now what do they have to worry about? That. Wolf over the top, drops the EMP, lights out, and Surefour, like any good tracer, willing to stalk people when the lights are out.
Yeah. Oh, man. I will highlight the play of Zephyr there. He was able to shut down that TacVisor completely. I think he was at such an angle that Nesh didn't even know what was happening. Like, why aren't these things hitting them? Because that's how deceptive defense matrix can be. Rolf at 50%, so there's a small window that they can get in here without an EMP up.
There is a small window, but here's where I look at Kaiser. Kaiser's been getting the EMPs to set his Earth Shatters, but Kaiser is not a tank who necessarily needs that. He is a high-impact Reinhardt. We've seen his great plays in tournaments like Apex, and given that teams haven't had to deal with a whole lot of Reinhardt recently, I don't really think Hammers is going to be respecting it as much.
Nice stick. Has Kaiser ever hit an impactful Earth Shatter? Has that ever happened? One or two?
I mean, he's hit many impactful Earth Shatters. I mean, he impacts the ground, and then the bodies get impacted after. It's quite the process.
They have to bail out under 2 minutes now, and they're still just running the same old, same old. Shaz will, a Nanoblade could do it for him. It's where they've had their most success, even thinking back to Numbani. The Nanoblade is what brought it back for him, but gonna have to go into EMP.
You know what does really well against Nanoblade? Earth Shatter.
Yeah.
So Kaiser right now holding on to it, doesn't want to run into the shield, under pressure, and Fisher backs out. It's a good back out, supports the back line, and opens up a 6v4. There's the Earth Shatter. We don't know how many, I think it knocked down 2 into the back line, so
maybe.
I'm not sure if it's enough. Hammers
Very
dealt
good
with
for
this
Hammers,
really well.
yeah. Only 1 kill. It's an important kill, though, because Ana is now out of the fight. Gods also gets the second support. All this damage is permanent. Those are 2 that you don't want to lose. Nesh trying to lock it out for his team. The remaining 4 will get up to that second tick. Cloud9 is going to have to get back out here and stall. Zephyr does just that. So now it's pretty rough shape for them as they did lose both supports, but they're selling out enough that the supports can get back in here if they can stay alive.
And that's a big self-destruct here. That clears out the point, at least for a moment, buying C9 some room, but Hammers works around it pretty well. They just back up, use the pillars for cover, but they can't afford to suffer deaths. The fact that Fisher went down there, the Kaiser, actually hurts quite a bit. You don't have the dash reset snowballing that you need in a situation like this, and C9 is very carefully fighting their way back into this.
The supports got back into this fight, and for such a prolonged fight, they will not have another chance at this. This has to be it for Hammers, otherwise they're gonna have to settle for 2 ticks.
By the way, we have a May in play now. Just because.
She used to be one of the best heroes to defend on this point before Sombra came about and kind of stole her glory.
So here's a test for Hammers. Can they even touch a point to force the potential of an overtime miracle? They're going to wall up the Diva, but where is it? It's Christopher coming into the back line. He touches the point, but he gives up his body and life to get on that point. It's already 2 kills here from C9, and Hammers not really left with a lot of options here, Hex, to make this one work.
No, desperation time. They're hoping for a miracle here. history teaches me that it's not going to happen. I mean, performing a miracle against gods, I don't think that works out. You get them on your side.
I can see it.
Yeah. I'm a deeply religious man, obviously.
I never knew, Hex. I never knew.
I don't like to tout my faith. I mean, you've seen my Shrine Tech Cthulhu.
I thought you lost your faith when you got hit by a scatter arrow the other day.
Oh, God. It's enough to bring a man to the brink of a faith crisis, I tell you. But then, yeah, I regained it when I shot one into a room and it killed 3 people somehow. So
I gotta say, by the way, I really dislike whoever it is that is running that frontline opening there, or the frontline base, because it reminds me of me. They still have their Christmas lights out, Hex. Why? Why do you do this?
You're a profoundly lazy man, except when it comes to casting. It's really the only thing you put any energy into.
I mean, you just gotta save it for the good parts. Hex.
Yeah, I suppose. All right, so Hollywood Hammers unable to finish out Temple of Anubis. They did get a couple ticks though, so progress was made on the final point. Means Cloud9 gonna have a win condition in front of them, which is finish Temple of Anubis.
And that is something that they're very much adept at doing. So, I mean, it puts a lot of pressure on Hammers here. And I gotta say, Hex, do you like what we're seeing here? Because I'm not necessarily sold.
I mean, Nesh played well enough on the Widow that I'm willing to buy it for a second. I mean, then I think you run the Sombra here with the notion that it probably won't work on first, but then you'll have EMP up for the next push. Because the last thing you want to do is get steamrolled, right?
What I take issue with here, and I agree, you don't want to get steamrolled, but I think if you run Widow Sombra, you're increasing that odds because neither Sombra nor Widow can take straight up fights. And you're already down extra support to help your tanks take those fights.
Yeah.
So what's going to stop C9 from just walking onto the point in their best SM orc impression here?
I suppose, I think maybe they might be expecting a pharmacy. You've seen that roll out? I don't know. The Widow's confusing, but if you're Hammers, it is time to try something different. I would like to see them try something different on their offensive pushes last round, but that didn't happen either. So I don't dislike it because I think Nesh is a good Widow.
I mean, it means that Nesh has to get a pick off here before C9 gets to the point.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for him, C9 is getting right onto the point. He has Surefour in his face, and Surefour gets his man. And by the way, we do have an interesting swap here. It's Surefour the Tracer and Gods and Genji.
Yeah. It's a luxury that they can afford. Perhaps it's even just map preference. You don't really lose much when either goes to the other. That's how much respect I have for Gods. Everyone knows how good Surefour is. He's been good since the very first day of closed beta. Adam's been with them since the very first day of closed beta, and he'll come right in and help out as well, showing up in the kill feed. A complete roll, stomp, whatever you want to call it, from Cloud9 as they take first points. And another interesting switch. Nesh is on Roadhog. I just trying whatever now, I guess.
He did play a little bit of Roadhog here and there, not so much with complexity because, of course, that was Harbloo's jam back then, but he can play a good Roadhog. The problem here is that C9 has so much momentum, they're going to be washing over here. It's going to be up to Shaz to land an EMP and for the rest of Hammers to capitalize on it sooner rather than later. Rolf, lucky to get away there, as C9 starting to get tripped up a little bit. It's a good pulse bomb by Fisher, and C9 doesn't quite get the engage they might have been looking for here early on.
Yeah, I think they were trying to bait out the EMP. If you saw, they were all spread out and kind of dancing like, hey, we're coming in, you better, we're gonna come, I'm serious this time, we're coming in, you better EMP. Did not fall for it is Shaz, so that very first push stopped, but Cloud9 has been banking some ultimates up. They're about to have all 6.
Normally this would be amazing, except for the part where EMP is on the menu here. So EMP is the one ultimate in the game that can make 5 ultimates look bad. Still pretty good here from C9. And they lose Rolf early on because, of course, EMP does that.
Like I said, why even bother with the extra 50? Just make him disappear.
Just make him disappear.
Yeah, Zenyatta's never lived through EMPs. It just doesn't happen.
How many people have you made disappear, Hex?
Enough that I don't want to talk about it on stream.
I'm a little bit scared, but the thing is for C9 is that now they know the EMP isn't up, or at least they have a good idea that it's not. Sometimes Sombra surprise us.
Yeah.
So I would expect them to go just all in on this push, use the window that there's no EMP, fight the other ultimates up straight up here because you have more on deck, and I don't think C9's going to wait too much longer here.
No, because EMP might be up, but you know this is your window where you just saw it. It's the best odds of it not being over here. Alts will come in, Transcend starts it off. Gods has the blade out, does find a Lucio in the back line.
I mean, for Hollywood, that could have been a lot worse. Gods could have died after it. That is the much worse. Why die to blades when you could die to bombs, or in this case, the Diva bomb? A much better opening here from C9, and now Hammers under all sorts of pressure as they must prevent C9 from capping this, or that's going to be it.
It's already there. Oh my God, barely the contest. They don't have to get the full cap here. A yellow marker is all they have to get it to, but they are bleeding out right now, trying to desperately find a tourniquet. They will start with the sound barrier. Whole hog comes out as well.
This is pure desperation at this point, and C9 is cleaning them up. Kill after kill going C9's way. They're on the doors on both ends. They are stopping Hammers on every level, and Hammers has no margin to give, so even a single moment being off the point will be it. And that is it, as C9 takes their third map of the series against the Hollywood Hammers.
The word methodical comes to mind when calling Cloud9, and I think they showed us a little bit of the answer of how you deal with the defensive Sombra there. You go in and you make them use it, and then you just hope that she doesn't have it for the next time. It's really all you can do against defensive Sombra. Like, it's a possibility, and sometimes a high possibility, that the Sombra will have it every single fight. But your best bet is to go right after you saw it. They banked every ult through all 6 at it. It's the kind of thing we've seen on Cloud9 all day.
But one thing I want to say is that it was good self-control from C9 because there are plenty of teams, especially in the West, that would have went, oh, we have 5 ults, just go.
Right.
And they wouldn't have respected the fact that, wait, Sombra could have ult here to deal with this. So C9, if anything comes to mind here, and it's in stark contrast to some of the other teams we've seen, is that they are patient, they are methodical, and it has worked out well for them so far in the series.
I remember the moment you and I were like, C9's going to be dangerous, was the day they got Bishop as a coach.
Yes.
We had met him, we knew he was an intelligent guy, and we thought, that's good. C9 probably needs a coach. We know some of the personalities on that team, and I think, you know, you're seeing it come to fruition right now.
No, most definitely. And in fact, I would say, talking about their ability to be more reserved, that has maybe even been their weakness when they have had anything like a weakness. Every once in a while, they will lack a little bit of decisiveness because they know they need to pull it back. And the thing is right now they're balancing that so well. They're striking when they need to, they're being aggressive when they need to, and then they're backing off and holding off when they need to as well. But I want to talk a little bit about a 3-tank defense on first. How did that work out for Cloud9?
I mean, it should have worked out.
A lot better than that, yeah. Well, because you were saying, like, well, you know, Reinhardt shield, that's how you stop the Widow. They didn't just have the Reinhardt shield. They also had the Kaiser shield on, Gods on Winston.
Yeah.
I mean, straight up, Rolf did not respect the Widowmaker there, paid for it with his life, and the rest of C9 paid the price. Straight up, I mean, you can't get picked off when you have that much shielding around you. It was a beautiful shot by Nesh to open it up, but it's still, Rolf shouldn't have been in that situation, and it's hard to judge the rest of the 3-tank because, well, 3-tank really loves having their Ana be alive.
It could have been anyone else, but you're right. She's the engine that makes 3-tank go. She's the reason for the tank meta in its entirety. It's the only person you couldn't afford to lose, and then Rolf's.
By the way, you lost him. It's just like, you see Bishop in the back just facepalm. He's like, no. That's not how that happens.
I wanted to see it again. I mean, maybe we will. We do have more matches. But I wanted to see how that worked out. And as you mentioned, Gods, turns out he's played some tank before. But I do want to talk about Nesh, because Nesh's Widow has always looked good, and he's been able to find some good picks. It obviously wasn't able to give them victory. But we saw Hammers breaking out just a little bit here, and when you're up against the wall as they are now, you have to change something up, and they really didn't change much up from map to map until this point. They opted to more just maybe try to change up their play style, but whatever they've been trying, it hasn't been working. And this time around, they at least like brought out the Roadhog, and like they were trying to mix things up a little bit.
There's potential here. I mean, it's tough. Cloud9's a good team. They're in a good group overall. Hammers was always going to have a hard time through here, but you see the potential plays. I think they should have switched up. They tried this same attack on offense about 5 times in a row. At some point, try something else. Try to get a pick with their Roadhog. Try anything differently. And then to be on their defense to be like, oh, we should switch things up. It's like, guys, you should have. I mean, a day late, $1 short.
I mean, in general, Hammers needs to play with their ults a lot smarter than they are right now, because you're going against one of the smarter teams in terms of managing ult economy, especially with how C9 has been playing with it today. You can't make errors where you throw ultimates into losing fights and then expect to end up taking Anubis point B. It's not going to happen.
Sure.
Not going to happen. Well, Route 66 is going to be our 4th and final map, but Cloud9 have secured that win on their record, so that is going to put them at 1-1-1. Now we're going to see how that potential tiebreaker situation will be played out next week, and it is actually really important because this group has already been so close. Right now, Renegades is playing against Kungarna, and if 5 Hour Energy Detroit Renegades is able to find victory there, then Kungarna and Cloud9 would be tied at the end of this one. So it is definitely going to be important.
I mean, credit where credit's due, where 5 Hour Energy Detroit Renegades, they've lived up to their name, if nothing else, where they did have problems winning games in longer group series, but they've been doing well today.
I just hope to one day be the Diet Coke hexagrams. Like,
Diet
that's
Coke
my dream. Yeah.
hexagrams.
It would save me so much money.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of my,
You could take
You're not
all
there
the,
yet? I mean, like, no.
I mean, you could take all the criticism for that one. I'm just going to hide in the shadows while also indulging in the same vice.
You've never had a Diet Coke in your life. All right, so this is a great pick right here, Route 66. And I think that Hammers has done their homework. As Hammers had like a 30% win rate on Assault, Cloud9 struggles on Escort. They're hovering around 30% on Escort overall. Want to know what their worst Escort map is lately?
Is it this?
It is this. Wow, I thought I was going to trick you somehow. 1-4 on Route 66 in recent results. Coming into groups today, that may have changed throughout the day here, but that was my research. Route 66 with the hover hogs over there. No tires in the game at all. We heard a little bit about that yesterday. I don't know. I mean, so I guess the phrase "rubber meets the road" just doesn't even apply to Overwatch. You guys should stop saying it.
I'm never going to stop saying it, Hex. You can't tell me what to do. You're not my dad, you're just my mom.
Oh yeah, Happy Father's Day, everybody, by the way. It is Happy Father's Day, so if you have forgotten, you can thank me for reminding you. You know, you don't have to get your old man a tie and a shirt that he doesn't need. Just give him a text, give him a call, give him a hug, you know.
But I already did the former.
Well, I mean, that's fine. You are a man who loves his ties and shirts anyway, so.
It is true. I've developed a strong love over the last year, and that's just been the thing. But speaking of things that might be a thing, if this is coming to pass here, we talked about the idea of running more Reinhardt and how C9 is more flexible. Look, I haven't said get on the thing, Hax.
No, that's trademark. That's mine now.
You would actually sue me, but C9 is coming out here with a tank-heavy defense where you have Kaiser on the Reinhardt, so they're not going to be going for a counter.
Okay. Nesh is on the Widow, though, so it would be the funniest thing on the planet if he picks Rolf here. I'm
Rolf would not find it funny. I just want you to know he would actually be rather upset.
I like Rolf, but come on, comedic-wise, that would be great. I like their composition here. They actually switch off the Widow. Snizzle Nose does going to Roadhog. They don't necessarily like what they see. They're going to taxi back. Fisher's going to go. They're going to run triple tank of their own. All right. Why not? Triple tank with no Ana, though. They're going to run a Zen instead.
Reinhardt v. Reinhardt. Let the Rhine games begin. We haven't seen this as often in Overwatch as of late, but I'm excited to see it. And I gotta tell you, if you are dancing as Reinhardt, Kaiser is a rough dancing partner to go with.
Yeah.
He generally takes the lead, steps on your toes, and ruins your day. So as if Christopher can deal with that, as Hammers right now focusing on the payload, C9 prioritizing the high ground.
Well, Gaza's come in over the top, hooked and gone. That is the power of Snizzle Nose's Roadhog there. They're going to be down a Winston. He's going to take a breather, come back into this fight. Great advantage here. Gods decides he does not want to play Winston against Roadhog. Switches right over to Genji.
And that's really good, though. I mean, use the Roadhog to that advantage to get a Winston out of the game where you oftentimes, we don't have any Winston on either side right now, Hex. That is rare today in Overwatch. So screenshot this moment, clip it, whatever you want to do. And C9, they've just been bending back this entire time, Hex. They haven't really engaged. Of course, God's going down, force their hand, but they're letting this go almost all the way to the point. And it hasn't been great as the nano-boosted Reinhardt countered here by the Transcendence.
Yeah, beautiful Transcendence. They actually go for the hook on Geyser, and he gets taken down by a Fire Strike instead. Adam comes in, and the unlikely hero to take down Snizzle Nose. They're getting a couple kills, but this is mostly in favor of Hollywood Hammers, and a lot of it has come off of the Snizzle Nose play on Roadhog. It's, I think, one of his best heroes. Is where he has his biggest moments, and they're going to be able to clean this up. Short 4 tries to stall it out, does not do so very well. Cloud9 now has a couple of ults they can rely on, as Kaiser will have his up. That's just such a great hook to enter the... It's such a powerful ability to instantly turn a fight 6v5 every 8 seconds.
I would say that play that was just on replay was the reason why Cloud9 did nothing on defense. It wasn't that they tried to do nothing. They actually just did nothing after that pick, and Hammers was able to roll their way in. The only upside here from C9 is that, at the very least, they do have ultimates up, but look at that. Surefour dives too deep as Snizzle Nose, pulling people in. The one party you don't want to attend is the one Roadhog brings you to with a hook.
or any of yours? Like, yours sound terrifying.
Mine, people die to attend my parties, Hex. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's like one of those terrible Halloween puns. Not quite the season for it, CP. Rolf gets hooked too as Snizzlenose continues his reign of terror, and I couldn't be happier because Snizzlenose is a fun name to say. Snizzlenose.
Snizzlenose. Although he's on Roadhog, I mean, you have the entire pick there. It could be Snizzletail, but, you know, opportunities lost. Either way, it has been Snizzlenose's game here so far with vital pickoffs over and over again at C9's expense. They have to give Snizzlenose more respect because they keep ignoring him and getting wrecked. But look at the self-destruct. Lobbed in over the top. Does not quite hit its mark, but gives C9 the distraction they need to get back in on this point. And this time, Surefour gets his man.
Yeah, Transcend comes in and keeps everyone alive. I mean, don't tell Snizzlenose that. He's able to take down Kaiser, who's now on the Winston instead. God, what is going on? Who's going to win this fight? Who knows? Snizzlenose. He's doing it all by himself. Rolf has had enough of it. He's seen what happens when he leaves Rolf. Oh, God.
Oh, the nose knows because this.
Oh, man.
Even in a losing fight, Snizzlenose
I don't
looking
care.
like a winner.
I do not care. This is why it gets so frustrating that they didn't even try this on Anubis Assault. This guy is a Roadhog god.
And he's doing this against someone named God, so just keep that in mind. I mean, it's not in the name, it's in the play. But this time, Fisher getting bopped as he tries to deep dive, 5 versus 5. But I gotta tell you, Snizzlenose kept alive in the back. Let's see if he can work his magic once more. Not this time.
It appears they have finally figured out the problem, and it's the guy with the hook on 8-second cooldown as he goes after again. A very late pulse bomb. This is kind of what you were talking about with Hollywood Hammers is, I mean, that fight's over. And yes, it's just pulse bomb, but pulse bomb's nice to have to open a fight too.
It really is, and it would be one thing if Hammers was trying to be playing in the Immortal style where they just kept up constant pressure, but Nesh outright retreated after the pulse bomb. So
I just
what have you really
predicted
done?
that blink too. Just beautiful play from Snizzlenose.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Snizzle's gone the diva. The dream is dead. And so is Hammers right now as Fisher just gets popped immediately. I'm just going to take a little bit for Morning Hex, so by all means.
Oh, what makes you think I'm not in mourning? No, like, I don't understand it necessarily. It's not like there's a threat on the high ground they have to deal with. The 76 hasn't been in the mix. Maybe they think Surefour's Tracer is that big of a threat that they got to keep the diva on their back line to keep Shaz and Tomzy alive. Surefour has been doing some work in there, but I don't know if that's keeping. I would rather get the picks personally. Just what he was bringing you on that is insane. Comes a blade.
You don't take people off the hot hand, and Gods right now drops the blade, drops the Hammer's backline, and I think Diva's going to be going rock climbing.
It's like that night Kobe put up 80. Like, no one was telling, hey, you should pass more. Like, what? It's just not a good idea.
I don't know. I think there was enough Kobe haters that someone somewhere is like, he only got 80 points because he didn't pass more. So, heck, some people probably said that.
Yeah, probably. Well, speaking of Kobe, the pulse bomb at the ready for Surefour. He might be looking to nail his own in there. They've just dominated last fight. 30 seconds ZP. We are down to it. Hollywood Hammers needs to get to the checkpoint to extend their offense on Route 66.
They're going to win a fight where they're at a disadvantage to some extent. Fisher must get a good blade or this is almost certainly going to go against him. The barrier is out and so is the blade. Fisher running into the worst enemy of the Dragon Blade, a Transcendence, gets nothing. Shaz and Tom both down in the back line. The supports are done for Hammers, and Hammers in general likely just done. They don't have the sustain remaining to keep here on the payload. So as C9 gets on the payload and removes people from it, this should be a hold here on second, and a good opportunity from C9 to punch it right in on their own attack.
Fisher went for the pack and it wasn't there. It's the saddest sight in the world for Genji, who's at 60 HP. They will come in desperation time, and Gods on the cleanup. A dash of this, a dash of that. You get a dash. Everyone gets a dash from Gods. That's the cleanup. Cloud9, I mean, the glimmer of hope Hollywood Hammers had, they took it away from themselves. I don't get it. I don't get it.
It was rough where, yeah, they lost a fight with Roadhog, but there was also a fight where the only reason why they were getting key kills is that Snizzlenose was landing key hooks. And look, I fully understand the meta of, we think that in theory this is a better composition, but whether it be in traditional sports or esports, there is absolutely the idea that sometimes someone has a hot hand and the logical thing to do doesn't matter when someone is playing out of their mind. And I mean, if Snizzle had a few bad runs, sure, maybe given the variance at that point, but
I mean, they did start, I guess, focusing him a little bit. Shore4 was actually just hunting down Snizzle. They identified the problem very quickly. I mean, it's hard to not identify the problem when he's the only red name in the kill feed. It's a pretty memorable name, too. So, interesting. Cloud9 does need the map wins they can get. They are up 3-0 in this set. They're looking to go 4-0 and, you know, maybe even exercise some demons on Route 66, because Hollywood Hammers getting it to that point might be enough for win it, because, as I mentioned, Cloud9 has not been good on this map lately. Something about it just confounds them, but only have to get it to second to take the map. Propane and propane accessories.
I identify with that man. I sometimes been told to resemble that man. So.
Yeah, you think you look like that, Kill? I've been told I'm not right, so I guess I'm Bobby in these situations.
Oh man,
could be worse.
It could be worse. But yeah, take a look at C9 right now, and I gotta say, Adam, keep following your dreams. I want to see the Orisa too. Probably not going to happen. But Gods of the McCree, I mean, there is a off chance that this could be legitimate, especially if they think that could be a Reinhardt play, but nope, not gonna happen.
They need to add a hero in this game who has got a blind ability rather than a stun, and just call it Pocket Sand. Make it happen, Blizzard, please, for the love of God. Pocket Sand! All right, coming out, only have to get to second here. Fisher on the defensive Sombra, of all things. Interesting there. He's gonna be part of a triple support defense here. Nesh gonna be the only pure DPS, depending on what you consider Sombra. A jack of all trades.
And C9 right now, at the very least, there's not that much pressure on them. They don't have to bring this too far. But we have seen teams get held here on first. So on that same note, C9 can't waste too much time. And now they're going to dive right in. It's Winston D.Va leading the way. And we'll see just what they do in the back line as Fisher looks to probably a little bit into the back. Zenyatta is his prey, and he gets it with Nesh. The double dive of Hammers working out, while meanwhile, C9 coming up dry.
He wasn't even getting pressured, but he only translocated back because it was about to run out. He didn't want to, he was doing so much damage out there, he didn't even really take any. Able to kill the supports. That's a nice Sombra play. And what happens when you have a nice Sombra play?
Well, the lights get turned out in the next push. That's what happens, because she will have the EMP up here in just a moment. And I gotta say, C9 doesn't have a lot of options, but look at this. We have Shore4 on the hog. Snizzle knows the inspiration.
There are players in Overwatch who, as soon as they see someone run a hero well, they're like, oh yeah, that hero's pretty good. I used to play that hero. I'm pretty good at that. It's also a good answer to the Sombra, because Sombra always gets out with the translocate, but not if you hook her, she doesn't. The EMP comes in, and I gotta say, not in love with it necessarily. They didn't get a whole lot of kills afterwards. God's gonna be the only one. How do you use an EMP and not kill the Zenyatta?
I think they thought C9 was going to be a lot more aggressive on their dive in. They weren't. God's going to come back up, and now it's going to be C9 at a full 6 players. And, oh wait, we got swap ups here. We got switches on the way.
Yeah, all right. Pharmacy gonna come. Well,
God's
coming up.
Hog now.
God's gonna. Well, they were just trying to figure out who's going to be the better at getting those hooks. I like Shore4 on the Pharah here too. It's gonna be a little unexpected. It's gonna put a lot of burden onto Rolf though, as that's gonna be where a lot of his healing should be going up in the sky. It's kind of a poor man's pharmacy, but there's less investment to it.
I just imagine God just like staring at Shore4 and go, "Give me that hog. Give him to me. He was my first love." Well, we'll see if it works out here, as Shore4 will be in the air. Gods will be on the ground, but again, he's not
more
able
ways
to take
than
it.
one, yeah.
More ways than one indeed. Nesh take him down early on, and C9 has just struggled to get an early entry kill period here. This has been messy. It's been brutal.
Yeah, I'm understanding the 30% on Escort now. This just does not look like they quite have an understanding what needs to happen here. I think the switch onto Roadhog makes a ton of sense, but as it stands, that marker for victory is a mile away. 90 seconds below that, actually, now ZP, to get to first. They haven't even gotten around Bend.
Here's the real problem here, is that Hammers, very arguably with a good EMP, should win the next fight, and that leaves C9 with a 1-fight buffer. They don't have that much up and ready to go. C9 is at a huge risk here of losing Route 66 because of a just powerless early offense. More ways than one. The EMP comes out, they get 2 kills off of it. Rolf, see ya.
Yeah, they're going all in on Shore4 on the Pharah here. That's why they've moved over. They're actually running Rolf onto the Mercy, which is a little interesting. I thought that would be Adam's role, but fine. Rolf is a more than capable support in all capacities. And last fight here.
Fisher already at 54%. The health pack's doing his job. And Hammer's actually here, Hex. They could give up some degree of room. Let time run out a bit, and then win with the ultimates they have stockpiled up. C9 is on the hot seat here, and this dive going in now must be successful. You need to see something here off the barrage and the Primal Rage. If you don't get it, Hammer's very well could hold here. Transcendence makes sure for hold his fire.
He was gonna barrage that tunnel. I know it. I can sense it. He saw 3 people go in there, but the Transcend came out afterwards, so he's unable to do so. Another EMP goes off. Make sure everyone has no abilities at all. Speaking of no abilities, that's kind of how to describe Cloud9 and Escort. This was rough looking.
I sometimes question if C9 has played this map before.
It's rough. I mean, I said going. They're 1-4 on this map. Who's the one? That was tough.
Who's the one? You said that's so judgmental. It's just like, what idiots lost to C9
guys,
here?
all right, it's a long day. I don't mean to be sounding as angry. That's just confusing, though, because as methodical, as studied, as good and polished as Cloud9 looked, to not get around first bend on Route 66?
Okay, forget not getting around first bed. Just try getting some kills at some point.
Yeah.
Where anything they tried didn't work. Fair rockets, not getting anything. Hooks, not getting anything. Like, no matter what C9 was trying here, it just did not work.
I'm glad they tried stuff at the very least. Consolation prize in my mind.
I mean, I'm glad they did it.
Yeah, let me message them. Hold on. Guys, it's fine.
Guys, you did a great
Gil
job.
Frost is really glad you tried stuff.
I mean, I'm
you.
glad that Genji didn't activate Dragon Blade and spawn and leap off to his death. I mean, it could be worse.
I
right?
can't
No one
imagine
would
why
do
no
that.
one would do that.
No one would
I don't
do
think
that.
anyone has ever done that.
Yeah,
I mean, they'd have to
silly.
build a Dragon Blade first.
Yes, but nonetheless, I mean, Gods, first of all, showed us that he can play a lot of heroes.
everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I trust that he can play the Hog. Wasn't able to convert that to too much here. But what I wanted to see a little bit of Protect the President.